Have you dreamed of bigger things for your life? Then you are in the right place. Each week, you will be given tips on how to change your inner dialogue, conquer your goals, and ways to step into a higher version of yourself. I'm your host, Lauren Kubat. I'm a motivational speaker who hosts personal development events. I'm a sought-after fitness instructor, a wife, and a mom of 2 young boys. I'm obsessed with all things personal development, and I believe anyone can achieve the life they want. Let the Become Your Vision podcast be the inspiration you need to step into greater things. Now let's go. Hello, everyone. I am your host, Lauren Kubat, and this is the Become Your Vision podcast. Today's episode is about being human and forgiving yourself when maybe you've made a mistake or reacted poorly or made a bad decision. But before we get into the topic, I'm going to share the review of the week. The review of the week is from Lori H., and it's titled Always Encouraging. This is a long one, so I'm going to only read a little bit, but these words mean so much to me. It starts with, I absolutely love listening to Lauren's podcasts. Of course, they're always encouraging and never to tear anyone down. Lauren was my class instructor at the gym and always had a positive class. I was new to the state, new to the area. I was terrified to take classes at the gym that I made my husband do them with me in the beginning. Lauren was not only there for you in my situation as an instructor, but she generally cared how you were doing. So thank you. Thank you so much for that review. I love reading these reviews right before I hit record because it's nice to know that people are listening, and just like the fact that you took time of your day to write the review is awesome. So Lori H., I have a quote card for you. So in the beginning of the year, I did an event, and my friend has her own business. It's called MB Lettering, and she has amazing handwriting. It's like calligraphy. And so I had her make these quote cards for my event, and everybody got a different quote. So I have a few extras. So I'm going to mail that to you. So if you're listening to this episode, send me your address and I will send you that quote. So thank you. Okay, so into today's topic. So do you have days where you get irritated or frustrated with something like more than you usually would? So like for me, I get more irritable when it's like that time of the month. And it could also be you may be feeling more irritable because of this year. All I have to say is 2020 and COVID, and I'm actually really sick of saying the word COVID. Like, I hate it. But anyway, you might be feeling like more triggered this year, and you may find that you're more on edge. But there are certain things that kind of put me more on edge, and that's usually like I said, the time of the month, but also like if I'm running late. And it usually, when I'm running late, like one of the kids is like whining, there's something else going on and it's like raining or something. Or like I get irritable when I'm feeling tired or even hungry. So there's also this particular part of the day when I usually have to practice patience a little bit more, and that is right around like noon. And around this time, there are just a lot of moving parts. This is the time where I get home from the gym, like I've been, teaching my classes, or I have a workout, and then, I'm doing computer work at the gym. I have to get, the boys in the house, make sure their hands are washed, gone to the bathroom, make sure they've had lunch. Our youngest Charlie, he'll be 2 in January. And, I have to make sure he goes down for his nap, but then also make sure Ollie, who by the time you're listening to this, he's going to be 4. Oh my gosh, crazy. And Ollie, I always have to say Oliver because people think I say Allie, like if I'm just introducing him. Anyway, I digress. But so I have to make sure he's like settled in before I put Charlie upstairs. Otherwise, he's going to keep him up. But anyway, excuse me, I'm usually like irritable around this time. Okay. I'm like trying to get everything done. And, I'm hungry. And I'm sure, you probably have a particular part of your day. Maybe it's like dinner time or getting the kids ready for school or homework time where it's just like, more stressful than other times. So the other day around this time, I was walking in the house with the boys. And this is also the time when, I have to let the dogs out. And right now we're watching my mom's dog. So I have to let two dogs out. And I had just picked up groceries. I did like the online grocery pickup or whatever. And that made, my job a little bit easier. I just had to pick them up. But I'm like bringing the groceries in the house. And they're the kind of groceries. So like occasionally, like I'll shop at, I don't know if this is in your area, Aldi, but they don't have, or they give you when you're doing the grocery pickup, they give you like the paper bags. So it's already awkward carrying bags into the house. Bags, that's my Chicago for you. Bags into the house. So I'm trying to carry these groceries in, and trying to let the dogs out. And immediately when I walk into the house with some of the groceries and the boys, I notice that there is pee right in front of the door. So I had to put the groceries down and I had to, clean up the pee. But let me share what it is, what it's like to even find the paper towels. Not find, I know where they're located, but get a hold of the paper towels and the cleaning supplies in my house. So the previous owners of this house put these like magnetic locks on the cabinets, like baby proofing, but they're like very bougie. And you have to use the specific magnet to open the cabinets. It's a safety precaution. So we never took them off. We've had this, with our boys. So in order to get the paper towels and cleaning supplies, I have to first locate the magnet to unlock the door or unlock the cabinet. Then, use the device to open the cabinet and then get the cleaning supplies and paper towels out of the cabinet. So it's an obstacle in itself. But in the meantime, I am like making sure that the boys aren't like stepping into the pee and the dogs aren't like tracking the pee all over the house. So I'm like trying to get the cleaning supplies really quick, but also keeping an eye on them. So I clean up the dog pee and then go back outside. And then, my boys are trying to help bring in the groceries, and I'm using air quotes with help. And then Ollie, he drops like this carbonated water case on the ground, and it could have been much worse, but I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, now there's water is going to like squirt all over the place. Thankfully it didn't, just the cardboard box like broke, but then I had to manage to bring in this case of carbonated water without dropping more carbonated all over the place. So that again was awkward. So, I'm still collecting groceries because you have to make multiple trips with these types of grocery bags. So bring the groceries in the house, and then all of a sudden I hear Ollie say, "Oh no." And I turn around and Charlie is playing in yet another pile of dog pee, either that it just happened again or it was another pile of pee that I didn't see. So at this point, like I feel my blood starting to boil because now too, like I have to go through that process again to find the cleaning supplies and then also wash Charlie's like hands off, make sure the dogs aren't tracking pee again. So like I'm getting more anxious. And in the midst of all this, I'm trying to practice what I preach. So I'm taking like deep breaths. I'm like, and then I'm like, why isn't it working? Like I'm trying to take all these breaths and I'm trying to remind myself like how lucky I am. Like you're so blessed, even when it's chaotic. And sometimes this stuff works and sometimes like these tactics, they're not working as much as I'm hoping that they would work. So I clean up the mess, still trying to put these groceries away. Now at this point, Ollie's climbing on the counter. We have like our couch right by the counter. So it's easy for the boys to climb up on the couch and then climb up on the counter. We've tried this couch in different places in our living room. It just doesn't work. So anyway, he's climbing up on the counter. I'm worried about him knocking things over. And he's like, I'm hungry. Can you get me something to eat? And he's like whining, as toddlers do, in that whining voice. And if you have kids, like, this voice. And I'm like, Oliver, like, you need to get down. I will get you food after I put these groceries away. And he's like, but that takes too long, And I'm like, okay. So I put him in timeout for like arguing with me, but then also just because like I needed some space and I needed to breathe more. And I'm like, okay, if I don't have like separation in between us, like I'm going to scream. So he goes in to timeout, and again, you're going to think this is crazy, but again, he says, Mom, Bailey peed. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like 3 times in a row she's peed. She's an older dog. She's 14. She's a Yorkie. And then also she like gets nervous and there's a lot of chaos. Sometimes like the kids will stress her out. So she peed again. And at this point, my patients are gone. And I yelled at Bailey, like I brought her to the pee and I yelled at her and I was like, don't be in the house. And Ollie, was so upset. And this is the point where like I was kind of like nervous to even like tell you guys. And he was like, Mom, don't yell at Bailey. You're making her sad. And what I said, I was like, good. If I can take those words back, I totally would, because I walked away. I didn't even know that he was sad. I just like said good. And then I hear him crying on the stairs. That's where his timeout spot is. And Ollie's very sensitive. And he was so torn apart that I said good, because in his little brain, he was thinking like, how can you feel good about making her sad? We teach him the exact opposite. Like, when you see your brother crying or a friend crying, like, reach out to them. How can you help them? And here I am, not teaching him what I want, him to learn. And I was like saying good because I was happy that I made her sad. And then it in return, it made him sad. So he's bawling. And once I heard him like bawl or like cry, let out that first cry, my heart just broke. Because if you know Ollie, he has such a big heart. He cries like when somebody else is sad, or, and then with the dogs, it was no exception. So the second Ollie broke down, I realized the damage I did, and I immediately go to him and I apologized for yelling, and, and I held him, and like I was rocking him, and I just felt so terrible. And I was angry at myself for losing my patience. I was angry at myself for reacting the way I did. I was angry at myself for saying good when, Bailey is an old dog and she gets nervous. So I was feeling so terrible. And it just destroyed me seeing him like that. And so once I cleaned up the pee again, I finally put the groceries away, and it was time to put, Charlie down. And I was replaying this whole scene in my head as I was rocking Charlie to bed, and I was beating myself up. And then all of a sudden, the words, I forgive you, came into my head. And almost like a weight had been lifted. I don't know where this voice came from. Maybe it was my higher version talking to myself. Maybe it was the universe. Maybe it was a higher power, whatever. Maybe this is a little too woo-woo for you. But this thought had never come into my head before. But it was, I forgive you. And I felt differently. And I was thinking about this. And isn't that the response we would give to someone who has made a mistake and has, fessed up to it and has acknowledged that what they had done and is sincere about their apology? Like, wouldn't we say like, I forgive you? And we would forgive them. And that's what we want in return, from somebody else. And sometimes it's like, if if you're in an argument with somebody and if you're like, well, if they just apologized and acknowledged, their mistake, I would feel so much better. So, I acknowledged that mistake. And after I was done rocking Charlie, I took the opportunity to tell Ollie again how sorry I was. And I told him, like, I'm not proud of myself reacting the way I did. And I told him, I wasn't happy for making Bailey sad, and I shouldn't have said good. And, he was like, okay, Mom. And he had moved on. And then, I gave Bailey a treat, pet her and apologized to her as well. And then I also thought about the whole scenario again. I was asking myself, did I set up myself for success? Did I set up myself for success? Why is that sentence so hard for me to say? But anyway, no, I wasn't. I knew I'm irritable around this time, around noon. I know there's a lot of chaos going on. Why would I pick up groceries at that time? And then even just saying this, I feel like, oh, woe is me. This is first world problems. You have somebody shopping for you, and all you have to do is go to the store and text or call the number, and somebody brings you the groceries that they shop for you. Like, it's silly just to even like say those words. But anyway, this is the world we live in now, and we're very, very fortunate. But I was like, no, I wasn't setting myself up for success. So from now on, I will pick up or choose a time that is not so chaotic. And that is one way of reflecting and doing better the next time, And at the end of the day, you have to remember we are human. We're going to make mistakes, but it's how we recover and asking ourselves, like, what good does it do to beat ourselves up? And this one is really hard for me because I can beat myself up for days, but by doing that, I am taking away from the present and I'm living in the past. So think about this. How long do you spend and dwelling on your mistakes? Like maybe you made a mistake at work, or maybe you were snippy with the cashier or your spouse, or maybe it was like, do you dwell on your past and you're like, oh my gosh, I was an awful teenager? Like, first of all, you should not be the same person than you were when you were a teenager. Okay. So forgive yourself for that. And, you can't redo the past, unfortunately, but it's trying to, live better, as a person that you are now. And when you know better, you do better. So I want you to ask yourself, is there something you need to forgive yourself for? Or maybe it's something you can't think of right now, but maybe when you do something again, I hope you will remember this story and you can tell yourself like, okay, what can I do better? But I forgive you. Just simply saying those words or thinking those words really, truly help. And I hope this episode helps you in some way. If you like this episode and you feel moved and you have Apple iTunes or Apple Podcasts, leave a review. You can't leave a review on any other platforms except those two, unfortunately. But you can also get the word out about this podcast by taking a screenshot of the episode and writing on your Facebook or Instagram page and tagging me exactly what you liked about this episode. And I will leave my Instagram handle and my Facebook name in the show notes. My Facebook name is just Lauren Kubat. But anyway, I love you guys. I hope this helps. Remember, you got this. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you love this episode, make sure you are subscribed so you know when more episodes come available. My goal is to inspire others to become their vision, and one way to get the word out is with reviews. I would really appreciate it if you left an honest review on iTunes, and it would mean so much to me. Thanks again, and remember to go after the life you want. Bye, guys.